Hello, everybody. This is Lori Abella from Single Mom Power Project, and our goal is to inspire single mothers to start their own businesses so that they can be empowered, gain back their independence and self-esteem. So we're lucky today because we have Coach Guest. She's living a life of happiness, health,
Yeah.
and powerful women are the people that she wants to help so that she can help them take responsibility of their lives, step into their greatness, and who never say no to a dirty martini. Oh, wow. Through her passion, she helped hundreds of women master the law of attraction, shift their mindset, and transform their relationships so that they can live happier on a daily basis. As a happiness coach and founder of My Happy Life, she speaks at retreats and conferences worldwide. And she's been featured on webinars and interviews with other world renowned speakers, and most importantly, she's never missed one of her son's baseball games. Can you imagine that? When
Mhm.
she's not chasing after her two kids, you can find her writing, teaching, and laughing, singing, and working by the pool at Soho House, and coaching one of her clients. Her new business, Moxie Nation, is designed to help women take their lives to the next level through community, taking action, and living their passion. So you can also find her at her website, www.myhappylife.com. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So nice to see you again.
That's awesome. So, Stephanie, I know that I've said a lot, but maybe you can tell us more about your background and what made you end up starting this business that you have.
Yeah, well, I really focus on helping busy moms to transform their mindset so they can find more daily happiness. So happiness was always my thing. I didn't know that until I sort of started my own coaching business and started focusing on what do I really coach? Am I a life coach? Am I a mindset? Am I into law of attraction? Limiting belief work? Like, what do I do? And I started realizing like it's all about happiness. Like the end result of what most of us want is more happiness. And so I started my coaching business. It was the second business that I owned. I used to own Positive Focus Productions, which was an event business where I hosted speakers in Chicago. And I did that for about 6 years and was working a full-time job during and had my kids. And then I started it wasn't totally fulfilling me. It wasn't everything that I wanted. And I would go to retreats and conferences and I would hear speakers and I would get coaching and I would go, I can do this. Like, there's no difference here between me and them. When you get to that level, when you're like, I can do it as well or better, then you've got to start doing your own thing, right? So I had a wonderful mastermind accountability group. This is about 6 years ago. And I said to them, hold me accountable. By this time next year, I want to have started my own coaching business. And they were like, what's taking you so long? Like, they've been telling me to do this forever. So I started designing the business, and what shone through in my branding was really that it was so much about happiness, and started focusing on happiness. And it was so funny. I went back to my old job when I finally left my full-time job and told them what I was doing. And I said, well, I'm a happiness coach now. And I help people focus on more daily happiness. And they said, that's what you did for us here the whole time. That's always what you were, and people in my life were like, that's what you've always been. You've been a happiness coach since birth. I'm like, really? I mean, it was great to get that confirmation that this is just really my jam. This is my passion and this is my purpose, is to help people realize that life is not about suffering, that it's about finding as much joy along the journey as possible. And that when we do, we can find, more happiness, more daily happiness, more things that give us peace of mind and light us up inside.
hmm So you've been teaching your clients three simple steps that they can take to overcome any challenges they're facing. So maybe you can take the time to share this with us because this is important for a lot of single mothers who are the primary audience
Mhm.
for this talk. But of
Yeah.
course, it can be applicable to anybody.
Yeah,
Where
yeah. I mean, 3 simple steps to overcome any challenging situation can be applied to any challenges. So the challenge can be the overwhelm that comes from being a single mom. The challenge can be finances. The challenge can be if your business isn't where you want it to be yet. So whenever we're finding a really stuck and challenging situation, I started coaching this to myself and to other people decades ago. And it's always what I fall back on when I'm in any kind of challenge. And it has helped people through some really serious, deep-seated, tragic challenges and some lighter challenges. So it kind of works for, across the gamut. So step one to overcome any challenging situation is to focus on what you do want. So when we're in a challenging situation, usually we're just ruminating and circling around the space that we don't want. And vibrationally, we're just attracting more of it. So any challenge, if it is with parenting or if it is with your business or if it is with finances, focus on what you do want. The more that you can shift to what you do want, the end result of what you do want, the more that you'll be stepping into that vibrational attraction and aligning with that. So if you can cancel that thought and step into the end result of what you do want. Okay, I'm a busy mom and I'm sitting and I'm in overwhelm and I'm so frustrated. Okay, I'm going to shift it and I'm going to think about the peace and ease that I have in my life, the flexibility and freedom, the time that I have with my children. I'm going to focus on that, because if I don't, I'm just going to create more of what I don't want. Step two to the overcoming any challenging situation is, now that I'm focusing on what I do want, step two is to give it away to a higher power. So give it away to whatever it is that you believe exists that's higher than you. If you call that God, if you call it universe, if you call it life, if you call it source, energy, whatever you call it, give it away to a higher power and let it go. I had a friend that was going through a divorce, that a friend and client that I was coaching through this. And she was in such angst with her ex, and with, his new girlfriend and all of this. It was just tearing her up inside. So I said, focus on the end result of what you do want. And she started doing that. She was like, okay, I want a peaceful relationship with him. I want to be able to pick up my kids and drop them off. And I want to see his light. I want to see that guy that I was once in love with. I just want to see him as not a monster anymore. I want to see a beautiful life unfolding for all of us in exactly the place that we're meant to be. Right. So give it over to a higher power. So then she started just doing a prayer, like, I release the situation to you and I know it will not result in pain. So we came up with this together. I release the situation to you. I know it will not result in pain. I know it will result in the greatest good for everyone involved. So call it releasing, call it letting it go, but give it away. If you're struggling with financial stress, think about the end result of what you do want and then give it away. Release it, give it up so that you're not vibrationally attracting what you don't want. And then step number 3 is to focus on your happiness. When you're going through challenging times, even if it's something really challenging, like the loss of a loved one or, grieving over something, it's more important to focus on your happiness than ever before. So all those little things that you can do in a day that make you happy, the little things like that cup of green tea, or, calling your friend, or putting on your favorite song in the morning, all of these little things, we often overlook those when we're in times of stress or challenge, because we're just so focused on the challenge, and we're just getting caught up in that. So it's like we're stuck in this hole and we're digging ourselves deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. But focusing on your happiness helps you climb up out of that hole. So I encourage my clients to always create a when my life works list, or a happy list. Like when I am really doing well, what things am I doing? What lights me up inside? What makes me happy? Little and big. Like being on the beach makes me happy, but I might not be able to do that every day. But being out in the sunshine makes me happy. One of my clients said, Wearing red lipstick makes me happy. I said, then wear it every day right now. Put it on first thing in the morning, put that red lipstick on. Take your dog for a walk. Like, have a glass of red wine at night. Like, do those things that make you happy. Go get a manicure. We tend to just put ourselves last when we're putting this challenge first, and that's not the way to get out of the hole. So every little thing that you can do, focus on your happiness, make it a priority. Like, it's our responsibility. No one else is going to make us happy. We need to do that. So safeguard your happiness and make it a priority. So let me go through those 3 things again. It's step 1 is to focus on what you do want, not what you don't want. Focus on the end result of what you do want. Step 2 is to give it away to a higher power and know that it will unfold for the greatest good for everyone involved. So release it and let it go. And step 3 is to focus on your happiness, safeguard your happiness, make sure that you do as many things in a day that make you happy as you possibly can.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand they sound so easy, but anyway, do you have any suggestions for those who are having some resistance? Because obviously,
Yeah.
it's a challenge to do those things.
Yeah, well, and those things take a little work, right? So you can't, it's 3 simple steps, so it's nice. You can keep those in your back pocket. Like, sometimes it's just a shift in a day. You think about those 3 things and it can help you take little baby steps up out of that hole. But there's work to be done because, so what do you want? A lot of people say, well, I don't know what I want. So there's an action step you can take. There's some work you can do to focus on what you do want. So you write down on a piece of paper that thing at the top. If it's financial stress or career or parenting, you write that thing on top of the paper, and then you draw a line down the middle of the paper. And in the left side of the paper, you start writing all the things that you don't want, all the things that are not going well. Because when you know what you don't want, you'll know the opposite of that. So when you look at what you don't want, this financial stress, you cross it out, and then on the right side of that line, you write what you do want. I want financial freedom. On the left side, you wrote, I don't want this backup of bills. I want to be paying my bills on time. I want enough money to. So when you look at what you don't want, you can usually find the opposite of that. So then on the right side of that piece of paper, you have all the things that you do want. Or sometimes it just takes sitting and journaling about, what do I want in this situation? Like with my friend who was going through the divorce, so what do you want? What do you see? Let's say it's 6 months from now, 1 year from now, and your life is easy and beautiful and peaceful. What's going on with you and your ex? Oh, okay. Now she can get into that space and she can just journal about it and start writing it. I see him at the baseball game and we have a really pleasant conversation. I'm just grateful for him that he brought these children into my life. And I don't have any stress around his relationship or where he's at now. He accepts me fully. We both support each other. So now suddenly she's in that space of what she does want, right? And then giving it away to a higher power takes action too. You've got to program that into yourself. It's a wonderful cancel process to give it away, to release it, and to let go. And we know that letting go and releasing things can be powerful, but usually we don't do them. So I recently had something that I needed to let go big time, and I took action on it. Gabby Bernstein has this wonderful cord cutting meditation that was a great process for me. So when just thinking about letting it go wasn't enough, I looked to other tools, So I used this Gabby Bernstein cord cutting meditation that was wonderful to energetically release that thing and give it away to a higher power. And then the happy list, I think we all think, oh, okay, do things that make us happy. But when's the last time you focused on doing as many things in a day that make you happy as possible? And when I did this process first, 10 years ago, I wrote down my When Life Works list or my happy list. So I wrote out all those things, being outside, listening to personal development stuff, driving on my scooter, being on the beach, exercising, drinking green tea, drinking lots of water, laughing with a friend, listening to great music. All of those things I wrote on the piece of paper. I had to write it out so that I could refer to it. And when I'd be having a really bad day, I'd go, yep, guess what? I've done nothing on this piece of paper. And then what can I do in the moment? If I have 15 minutes, what of these things can I do? Well, I can put on a great song that I love. I can go for a walk around the block and get outside in the fresh air. I could listen to a little personal development. I could do a little workout. There's a lot of things that we can do in a matter of 5, 10, 20 minutes that you'll notice right away will shift your day. So yeah, it takes action. It takes making this a priority and taking action on it. And then you'll see a massive difference. It's not that hard once you take action on it.
Yeah, it's good to know because, like, obviously, there's some single mothers who cannot even imagine juggling everything. And you said,
Mhm.
like, just listening to music, having this tea or coffee, and then putting on lipstick. So that's easy to do,
Right.
even though, like, you have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, right. They're so simple. And the state that we're in is a big indicator into how we're going to handle the challenges that come our way. If I'm in a really great state when I walk in the door to my kids after working, I can handle anything. If my son's having a meltdown, if my kids are fighting, if I'm in a great state. And that state is determined by whether I've done a lot of things that fill me up, that make me happy. If I walk in after having a great morning where I may have worked out and worked what I'm passionate about, done what I love, but maybe I did listen to that great piece of music, maybe I had some time to meditate, and then I walk in the door, I'm going to be much more prepared than if I'm in an awful state. I was rushed, I hadn't eaten anything, I never got my workout in, I was barely outside all day. I'm going to walk in already on tilt, not ready to handle any challenges that might be facing me with the kids, because I'm already, in a not in a peaceful space. So yeah, it's really important to focus on all these things. It's like we're filling up this battery every time we do things that make us happy and bring us joy and make us feel good. We're filling up that battery, and then we have higher capacity to deal with the stuff that's coming our way.
Yeah. You were also saying about something about meditation. So,
Mhm.
do you have any short information, like, how can people go about, doing meditation? Like, obviously they're busy already. Like, is there any quick
Mhm.
meditation tips that you can, share with
Yeah.
them so that they
I
can?
have I have great meditation apps on my phone that are just little guided meditations that you can do for 5 minutes, 7 minutes. You can just search and meditation apps. They're wonderful. I have one for my kids that we use sometimes, and then I have a few meditations that I have just either learned on my own or have been taught to me, or I've just taken from pieces of other teachers that are kind of, I have in my pocket. I have one meditation where I just move from my head down into my heart, and so that I feel like I'm coming from a better heart space. I have a meditation that's like a crystal ball meditation where I just hold this crystal ball in my chest and I imagine it spinning around until it bursts light through my body, and that helps just kind of clean up my energy. Or I'll do a meditation where I think about all 5 of my senses. What am I seeing right now, even with my eyes closed? Am I seeing just blackness, or am I seeing maybe light filtering through? Am I seeing something purple? What am I smelling? What am I tasting? What am I feeling? What am I hearing? So I just go through that. I mean, there's so many simple little things that we can do just to, or just a breath meditation, just to bring yourself back to your breath for a couple minutes. And it's been shown to be really helpful if you do a couple minutes of breathing meditation before you walk in the door to the kids. It can be really beneficial to get you in a better state. It lowers your cortisol. You're not going to be in a stress like fight or flight. It really raises the antibodies in your body. You're just going to feel so much better when you do any type of little connecting with yourself. So look what's right for you.
Mhm. Yeah, it seems like this happiness practice is something that is a lifetime commitment. So, do you have any suggestions, like, how can you make it
Mm-hmm.
easier so that, you can follow through?
Mm-hmm. Well, awareness is the key, right? So once we're aware of something, when we're aware that we are responsible for our happiness and no one else is, that it's not our outside circumstances that affect our happiness. It's really internally what we choose. That's the big game changer. So right away, just the awareness that I am going to take charge of my happiness, that is the key. So when you know better, you'll do better. So awareness is the key, and then you need to take action on these things. Be that person that puts themselves first and that focuses on their happiness. I think it's so extremely important that we focus on our happiness so we can raise happiness. We want our kids to be happy. That's like any mother would say that the number one thing that they want is for their kids to be happy. So how can we teach that unless we embody that? How can we teach that unless we have that and we are that? So I think awareness is the key, and then, taking action on those things that we know we can do that light us up inside.
Yeah. So, Stephanie, it was a great conversation with you. I was just wondering, what are your current projects, and how can people find you?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching, and I have a group coaching program through my website, myhappylife.com, and it's happy with an I. And I have a mom squad, a happy mom squad, which is really fun right now. It's a 6-month program that any moms can join. And we go through these 6 steps toward being the best mom that you can be. So the Happy Mom Squad is really the coaching, the community, and accountability that we need to be the best moms we can be, to focus on the joy along the journey, and to find more daily happiness. So that Happy Mom Squad is running right now, but we'll be starting another one in June. And it's a lot of fun. You can find me on the website, myhappylife.com, and join me in any of those capacities.
Yeah. So, do you have any final remarks for those people who are listening right now, who are single mothers, who are frustrated about their life and juggling everything?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I run into with moms is the O word, overwhelm. We can get into this state of overwhelm, and overwhelm in itself is a state of mind. And it can become a big, heavy weight on our chest. And then the more that we think about how overwhelmed we are, the more overwhelmed we become. So it can be a very stressful thing, this O word, overwhelm. And the first step in overwhelm is to stop living in the state of vibration of overwhelm. So like I said, awareness is the key. Awareness is the master discipline. So when you notice, oh, you know what? I have been living in a state of overwhelm. That is number one. So when you're living in a state of overwhelm, you have to recognize that you're doing it, and you have to end that story. You have to start focusing on all the time that you do have. You have to start focusing on the support that you do have. You have to focus on the sleep that you are getting. You have to focus on the productive work that you are getting done. You have to focus on the beautiful growth in your children. So what we're doing is we have access to both things. The overwhelming thoughts that are totally taking over and stressing us out, and these other things that are existing right there alongside us. And what we're doing is we're shining a light on the overwhelm, so that is growing. And that's becoming our reality, and that's all that we focus on. When there's an equal parallel reality, which is I have all the time that I need, things are going as planned, I am okay, my kids are okay. So we need to start focusing on that is there, that we do have, to make the first step in changing overwhelm. And another action step that I do for overwhelm, when I was living in overwhelm, and we all go through these ebbs and flows of when there's too much on our plate. And when I was starting this business years ago, and I was moving houses, and I was feeling like I am in overwhelm. I'm coaching through these women through being out of overwhelm, and I am totally overwhelmed. One of the things that was really helpful for me was to get everything that I needed to do out of my head and down onto a piece of paper or something. So I used my phone. I used just the notes in my phone to create a list. We tend to, especially as moms, we have all these things going on of want to do's. And even if moms make some lists, we usually don't get all of it out of our head and onto paper. And I encourage women to do that as much as possible, because then it doesn't swim in our head and take us out of the present moment. So what I started doing was just keeping in the notes on my phone one master list of things to do, things to get off of my head. So when something would pop up, oh, that's right, I need to look into getting that probiotic for my son Jack. And oh, I wanted to reach out to his reading specialist and make sure that she knew about. So instead of them in my head, on the phone, on that list, in that journal, whatever it is you decide to keep it. And then what I did was created like a weekly and daily list. So I would look to that master list and I'd create a list of things I want to get done this week. And then each night before the next morning, I would have, so for Tuesday morning, Monday night, I'd write a list for Tuesday, and I'd have A, things that I wanted to get done in the morning, B, things that I wanted to get done in the afternoon, C, things I wanted to finish by the end of the day, and D, things that I could delegate or that could get pushed to another day if I didn't get to them. And it was a wonderful process. It got everything out of the overwhelm in my brain and my mind into a structured, process right in front of me that I could look at it, and my overwhelm was like dissipating right in front of my eyes because I had an action plan right there in front of me. And the overwhelm is just a state of mind. It's all this stuff living in our head, because if we just sit and get present, we don't live in overwhelm when we get present.
Mm-hmm. Well, present it is.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Stephanie. And it was great talking to you. I'm sure that this will be helpful to a lot of the single mothers out there who is overwhelmed.
Yeah.
With the big O.
The big O.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Miss Stephanie. And
Thanks,
I see
Lori.
you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. All right.